Hi, and welcome back to the Self-Actualization in the Age of Crisis chapter summary review. I'm your host, Ron Rivers, and today we're going to be discussing Chapter 2, The Science of Individual Actualization. So the science of individual actualization is actually pretty well established and continues to grow. A lot of it is founded off the works of Abraham Maslow, who you may be familiar with. As a quick aside, I have a little factoid and a request to kind of start this video off with. So I want to emphasize, Abraham Maslow never described a hierarchy of needs. The idea of a hierarchy of needs was actually coined by a business person in the day of Maslow's work when they were pretty popular. He took it, he made it into a hierarchy and used it for himself, and it went viral. In reality, Maslow had described overlapping bell curves, essentially, of these components of individual actualization. To really emphasize that it is not a ladder to be climbed, okay? So my ask of you is to stop saying Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It is false. It is not an accurate representation of Maslow's philosophy, but it also, more importantly, reflects and projects a static ideal of hierarchy onto an ever-changing universe. Now, in the book Transcend, the New Science of Self-Actualization, Dr. Hoffman describes a new framework for viewing individual actualization outside of a hierarchy, in which he describes a sailboat model. So the sailboat model, which you can see on your screen, he used the idea of a sailboat, A, because it's not a ladder, there's no destination, right? It's this ebb and flow that perpetually changes direction. But B, it also better emphasizes how if the bottom component of the boat, those three, safety, connection, and self-esteem, which you see on the bottom, if there's a hole in the boat, it starts to leak. And the sail component, right, which is exploration, love, and purpose, cannot be fulfilled if there's a hole in the boat. So that's kind of the idea behind this boat model. And I want to take a moment to kind of briefly go over each of these topics as Dr. Scott Barry Kaufman explains in his text. So safety represents specific material and informational standards that must be met for the individual to individually actualize. Like we've talked about in our previous section of the Age of Crisis, for the individual whose birth lottery has subjected them to abject poverty, and they lack the institutional and informational systems within their immediate present to kind of see beyond that, there's little hope of individual actualization, which is why systemic actualization is a spiritual project for us in alignment with the single truth and the relational universe. Connection is in many ways our embrace of our oneness with the relational universe. The idea that the other is equally divine and deserving of equity and divinity as we are ourselves. Our relationships through connection that we form in many ways enhance ourselves and our ability to become more than we are. Maslow broke self-esteem into two specific categories: secure self-esteem and insecure. Secure self-esteem are people who understand that the development of their own potential and power acts as a foundation for growth, both internally and for the growth they can put externally into the world. So they're motivated by their own progress and unfazed by the external progress of others. Insecure self-esteem is those who elevate themselves through the belittlement and subjugation of others. Right, which stands in stark contrast to our spiritual philosophy of the single truth in the relational universe. Now, exploration represents a component of human being in a universe governed by the single truth that is really essential to the development of who we are. Exploration is the active pursuit of becoming more, and it encourages our imagination, our intuition, our sensitivity to many new experiences in life that we can embrace through this pursuit of exploring the unknown. Exploration also rejects static ideals that we might project, internalize, or externalize onto an ever-changing universe. Now, love takes many forms, and Maslow coined two specific forms. He coined D-love, otherwise known as deficit love, and B-love, which is being love. The idea, so you can better kind of explain them where D-love is wanting, right? Like I love you because I need you. B-love is selfless. I love you because loving is part of who I am. And finally, all of those roll up into purpose. And the purpose is really the alignment of meaning and system within a given moment. Purpose is really imagination applied over time, and it is the kind of perpetual process of becoming more than who we are. There's also a whole detailed science about the transcendent experience, which we'll dive into later on in the text. We'll explore both various ways of achieving that, some that are more temporary and fleeting than others. In a universe governed by the single truth in the relational universe, the most direct path to individual actualization for any one specific individual or the collective is through the spiritual project of systemic actualization. By raising the floor for more people, we allow more people to individually actualize and free that imagination onto the universe, that imagination that would otherwise be dormant or trapped within a specific set of circumstances.